Welcome back. Let's discuss political matters now. Ahead of the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly in June, the jostle for the coveted seat in the upper chamber continues to gather steam as the lobbying game intensifies. Already, the struggle for the Senate presidency among various geopolitical zones has widely been discussed. Many of the zones, of course, insist that the positions should be zoned to them for the sake of equity and inclusiveness. Currently, those eyeing the 10th Senate presidency include serving Senate President Ahmed Lawan, who is of the APC from Yobe North, Senator Sani Musa, APC Niger East, the Senate Chief Whip, Senator Ojus Okalu, who is of the APC, that's from Abia North. There's also Senator Jibrin Barao of the APC in Kano North. There's Senator Godswill Akpabio, APC of Akwa Ibom Northwest. Deputy Senate Leader, Senator Abdul Ningi, APC Bauchi Central. And there's, of course, Senator Abdulaziz now Yari, who is of the APC in Zamfara. There's also former Senate Leader Ali Ndume. And, of course, there's also Senator Osita Izunaso of the APC in Imo State. Now, political pundits believe that for national unity and integration, the speaker position should go to a Christian to balance the Muslim ticket of the president-elect and his deputy. Now, that same position, of course, has been canvassed for the Senate presidency as well. Already, President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said he has no preferred candidates for the leadership of the National Assembly. But the truth is that he would definitely want to be involved in who becomes the next Senate president and, of course, the leadership now of the National Assembly. But let's discuss this some more. Joining me on the program right now from the United States of America, Maryland to be precise, is Lanre Suraj, who is a political affairs analyst and, of course, a civil society leader. Lanre, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Give me your thoughts on, where the Senate presidency should go to.
Yeah, I think part of what we really want to look at and get away from, and especially because of what has happened with the general election, the presidential election to be precise, is the way that we've allowed ethnic and also religious sentiment to determine the attention that we're giving to the electoral process and also the final outcome. As usual with our politicians, this is what we're also going to play up with the leadership of the National Assembly. I totally understand the need for us to see how we build an inclusive governance system and also representation. But I think the primary consideration for us and also for the politician in the interest of the country is to give, that credence to more of capacity, integrity, and also the background of an average person before we start talking about, the region or even the religion that they represent. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. That is why
isn't that what our country is about? Because, I mean, you look at it, you look at what is going on in the country now, you look at the debates and everything. Unfortunately, you would say the reality is that, these issues rank very high. I mean, the issues of ethnicity, religion, and what have you. It's just our reality, isn't it?
Yeah, no. It's not even about the debate. It's the reality. Look at what happened with the election. If you look at the kind of votes that came from the Southeast, for instance, so you can see how it majorly went to a particular candidate. I mean, that is really not the kind of thing that we want to expect or we want to see happening in the country. I mean, we don't want to have that level of division that we want to promote within our midst. And it is important for us, as media, civil society, and the opinion molders in the society. And the healing process is not about just placating some section. It's about putting the right issues and the right consideration, the right criteria for the selection of people who would occupy leading political offices. And for me...
Let me ask you this pointed question now. What do you make of those who say, look, for the sake of balance, balance, especially when you consider, well, it's not a term I like using, this so-called Muslim ticket, that is necessary. You have some balance and probably give the Southeast region, for instance, some kind of sense of belonging, and so zone the Senate presidency to the Southeast and have a Christian Senate president?
Yeah, I would want to see where there is always. I might, if that is going to be the final consideration, I might not really have an issue with a consideration for a Christian Senate president. My worry would be if we want to really look at the balancing, and unfortunately, we've seen that not really happening in many places, in many instances. I don't mind if it's going to be a Christian Senate president who is selected on the basis of the merit and the quality that is bringing to the office, not because it's going to be a Christian. So if we have a single Christian that is unworthy of becoming a Senate president, I would be the last person to support him to emerge as a Senate president because he's a Christian. So I want to see where a situation we have a Christian that is capable of living up to the expectation because of the quality and integrity is going to parade rather than the religion that it belongs to. And the same thing for me will go to the regional consideration that you're talking about. And it is not just going to be about saying, oh, okay, so go to the Southeast because you need to get the Southeast to be part. I mean, there are other regions that have not really been captured. If you want to look at it, if you're looking at it in terms of the divide between the North and the South, so it's a Southerner that is the president. So if you have the Southerner to become the Senate president, it means that the Southerner is controlling the Senate, is controlling the.
There's also the position of the Speaker, of course, that some people have said should go to the North.
So I mean, but the leader of the National Assembly, as it stands, is the Senate president. So and at that point, when you want to look at it, the Speaker, yes, becomes the number 4 citizen, but that is really not the leader or the head of the Senate. So the head of the Senate, of the
National Assembly, you mean? Yes.
Is the Senate president. So and you still have the North Central that is not also considered in the whole mix. For now, you still have the Northwest that is still not considered. You still have the South that is still not considered. So it is going to be a function, like I said, of more of credibility, consistency. You are not going to tell me to go to the Southeast when possibly the only candidate that is going to come from the Southeast is someone with the baggage of corruption charges that are still going on in court, and I would want to say that person should emerge because he comes from the Southeast. No, if it's
well, the good thing is that he's not that individual you refer to is not the only APC senatorial senator now from the Southeast. There's also senators in so, but that's just by the way. Now let me ask you, how difficult do you think this is going to be for the APC to deal with? Because obviously it's going to be a very tight one, and if the party doesn't handle it carefully, it could actually cause some kind of division. And then, look, yes, it's true the APC has a majority, is going to have a majority in the 10th Assembly, but the truth is that you still would need the buy-in of lawmakers now, senators from the other political parties to emerge, to choose a Senate president.
No, I mean, we saw what happened in 2015, how the APC with its majority actually lost the control of the National Assembly leadership, where some of the members of the APC struck a kind of deal with the PDP at that time to have an APC Senate president and also a PDP deputy Senate president. And also the same thing went to the speakership because the House of APC was not properly managed. What you can still give to them as at that time is the fact that it was just an emerging political party. So there could be that there wasn't really that strong control of the party. But when you look really at the Nigerian politician, they really don't operate and abide by any reasonable rules. Almost everybody is a master or a lord unto himself. So there's very weak party control and mechanisms to deal with some of this kind of situation. And it is really also with the APC, it is not that party that you can say it's actually a party of discipline itself. That you look at the way it's carrying on with its activities and even conduct of some of the members of the party, even ministers in the party, how they work against the party or how they fight within themselves, even while serving in the same government, as if there's no president or there's no chairman of the political party. So you can't really expect anything, constructive or totally popular emerging from whatever decision is going to be taken.
Now, when you
by
hear
the
the president-elect, when you hear the president-elect say he has no preferred candidates and sort of gives off that impression that he's not really not really concerned or really not really focused on how the Senate leadership plays. I mean, what do you make of that? Do you take that with a pinch of salt, or you believe it completely that, look, the president-elect would not be very much interested in who becomes the next Senate president?
No, that is just a mere political statement, and then also try to ward off some of those that would want to lobby the president-elect for his support. There's no president that would not be interested in the emergence or who emerge or as the speaker or even the leadership of the parliament. That is too sensitive for any politically savvy president to stay aloof. There's no way the president-elect would not be interested. He might say that he's not choosing a favored candidate amongst the lot, and that is what you would expect, if you want to give a level of playing field to almost everybody. But I expect, really from the president-elect to have not just start building, and I trust him to be doing that. I mean, from what has been the experience, either as the Lagos State governor and then also his intervention as one of the leaders in APC before now, to have commenced the process of trying to manage, the process of the emergence of the leadership of the National Assembly, to reduce the effect, the amount, and also the level of rancor that is going to bring about post the election for the leadership of the National Assembly. I would expect there will be overwhelming, a solicitation going to him and those that are closer to him now. I'm sure, and I know for a certain that is not as aloof as you will hear from that statement.
Now, final question before I let you go. You look at the current National Assembly, female representation is really at the lowest, really bad, doesn't look good at all. Don't you think it's time we made a law, time for affirmative action, that we made a law prescribing the number of, say the number of positions now that should be reserved for women in political parties, so that when it comes to elections, I mean, you have a clear idea, and that way you'd be able to get at least a sizable number of women to come into parliament and to come into government, to be represented.
I think I would sincerely want to go it the other way around. I think what really needs to change is our mentality. Changing the law really does not change the thinking of people many times.
But we've always talked about this mentality. It will never change. It's never changed. Nothing has given way. Things are getting worse for women representation.
Let me give you a very solid example. Because it is the mentality that people need to imbibe it and see it as a normal, not as something that is imposed. The APC that started with AD started with having deputy governorship candidate as women, and in the Southwest. And that even spread outside the Southwest, because the mentality of the people really didn't change. They reversed that such that even now, I think you can only talk about a female deputy governor in the whole of Southwest, only in Ogun State. In all other states, they reversed the trend. It is because they have not changed that psyche of this masculine thing that is associated with politics and political offices. And that is completely highly patriarchal in our thinking and
Yeah,
approach to.
and that's my point, that look, because they are not going to change, and I'm happy you referred to the AD, and that when they started, that they would normally have female deputy governors. But you know things have changed since then.
Yeah,
Things have actually gotten worse. In fact, you don't have
completely.
female governors anymore. I mean, deputy
Yeah,
governors anymore. Hardly.
go to the House of Assembly. When they started with the Houses of Assembly, you see substantial number of them, even in the Houses of
But
Assembly
they are
level.
not there anymore.
They're not just anywhere. So even these guys, if you start chasing them up about even changing the law, they might even not concede to changing the law. I've been part of that affirmative action engagement of the National Assembly since 1999. And it is just few steps forward, many steps backward, because these guys don't see why they should concede even seats to the next person. They won't mind if you want to bring in their wife, their children, but they know that they are not going to achieve the acceptance, except for appointments to commissionership and ministerial offices. Outside that, they know their children don't even have the political clout to win the elections. So for them, they are not willing to concede those space to the other women that are around. They're comfortable making them, women leader, women organizing, whatever. And this is where it's important that we continue engaging with this reorientation. And that is where we must, in all our own outside politics, and this would also help us in many of our private establishments, we should continue to give leadership role and position to women so that our women can continue exemplifying their special traits and performances to discharge duties
All right.
excellently, more than their male counterpart. And with that, we can continue showcasing the capacity of women to deliver more than even some of their male counterparts.
Well, my only worry is that moral suasion might just not be enough. So that we just might need to go the next step by putting it in the Constitution so that, all these
I can,
political parties wouldn't have a choice. But
I can
that's a debate for another day anyway. That's a debate. And I know how controversial that debate is.
no, they are not mutually exclusive. We can continue to run the both of them, but it's important to
Yeah,
also go that line of ensuring that we change the mentality and the thinking of people, not
absolutely.
seeing women as just the servicing, harm of the political party and also the political offices, but
Sure.
an active role player, in those endeavors.
Sure. Lanre Suraj, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thanks for your time. All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues. Welcome back. Let's continue the discussion on where the next Senate president of this country should come from. I'm now being joined on the program by Theo Akatuba, who is a political affairs analyst. Theo, thank you very much for joining us on the program. In your opinion, where should the next Senate president of this country come from?
Based on the contributions of the various zones and the fact that we had a very big discussion about the Southeast presenting, being the president, or getting a president from the Southeast extraction. I believe that the ruling party should consider to the southeast of the country. But it looked like they seem not to have anyone else other than Ojus or Kalu.
Well, there's Senator Osita
they might
Ezunaso,
have
who's
to
from
work.
Yes, there's
Yeah,
Senator Osita Ezunaso from Imo State, who's also a senator, and he's actually a ranking senator because he's been in the Senate before.
Okay, what is his name?
Senator Osita Ezunaso. I'm very sure you know him.
Okay, now I know what I'm saying is that he's not popular within the rank and file of the party from this name that I've just heard.
Well, he's quite popular.
And I
I mean,
also
he's a former national organizing secretary of the party and has been in the APC for quite a while. He's very well known, and he used to chair a committee in the Senate.
Very good. Very good. So I think they should consider the Southeast so that that can be a form of pacification.
But does it also make it difficult? Sorry to interject.
Feel a sense of belonging.
Yeah, sorry to interject
So
now. Does it also make it difficult when you have very few senators from a particular zone, that it makes it difficult to select or to zone the Senate presidency to that zone? Especially, for instance, if apart from Osita Ezunaso,
yes,
the
because
next senator is Senator Ojuzo Kalu.
Maybe you have to look at if the choices are many. Okay, so I think that when you have variety, you have more choices to make. It makes it better for the party. If it's restricted to a few, they feel that they are boxed. And there are a lot of other considerations. How widely accepted are these people back home? In what way will it contribute to future electoral fortune? And so they look at all of that. But we have a very difficult situation in our hands, and it's a good time. No matter how narrow the choices are, they should settle for one of them. But they can also do something, like take a look at Nnamani, who worked for the party openly and have suffered some misfortune as a result of that, being suspended from their party, the PDP. You have in Ghana right now, the opposition, it has been speaker, and they've been working harmoniously with the president. We must test our democracy. And so they can look at Nnamani, who is experienced and who has shown that he's not moved to play only along party lines.
But Nnamani is not in the Senate because he did not win his senatorial election. He lost.
Okay, I thought he won.
No, he lost.
I thought he won. I'm seeing the list. I've just seen it now. So I feel that the Senate race is just so close that it might elude the Southeast again if the choices are so few. Take note, from what I gather, there's been a lot of rejection of the two choices. I do not know whether they reject them for genuine reasons. I have followed certain opinion gauging, and a lot of them don't seem to be enamored about Ken Nnamani at all. And so, Ojuzo Kalu at all. They are not even mentioning the other guy, the other senator that you mentioned his name. And so it's a difficult decision for the APC, but I see them settling for the Southeast ultimately.
Now, another question I want to ask you is, look, beyond the APC, the other parties will obviously have a say. It's true the APC has a majority, but then you also have quite a number of other political parties represented in the Senate. So it's not an overwhelming majority for the APC. So how important are these other political parties in deciding who becomes the next Senate president? Because it's also important to consider what these political parties feel as well, besides what the APC feels.
That's very true. You remember what happened in the 8th Senate when Saraki teamed up with the PDP guys, and well, they were able to get it, and they put Saraki there and did a good deal for themselves. In this particular 10th Senate, you have just raised a very important question. It means that all the candidates that are jostling for the top seat of the Senate, the presidency of the Senate, they will have to work closely and try to win support across party lines. in all that. So it might bring in some dynamics that the APC might not have the full 100% control over who should be the Senate president. There will be some horse trading and there will be some promises here and there so that, but if APC closes rank and APC has made a choice of who, it will be much more easier for APC to take control. But if among the APC contenders, they remain divided and unwilling to step down for one another, it becomes an interesting contest. At that point, all the other political parties will play a major role.
From what you see, I mean, sitting where you are now, from what you see, do you think we might be in for another Saraki scenario that you talked about?
We could be if APC and their top contenders for the seat do not close rank. If there is any disagreement among them of who should be the Senate president and none of them willing to step down for another, we could be heading in that direction.
Now, let's face it, the APC did not do well in the last presidential election in the southeast of the country. It didn't do well too during Buhari's 2 elections. It didn't do well at all. So the APC, since it was formed, has never done well in the southeast. Do you think zoning, if the party now decides to zone the Senate seats now, the Senate presidency seat to the southeast, that might change the fortunes of the party in the southeast and probably get the people of the southeast to begin to believe in the APC?
I don't think so. The Southeast have a certain aversion towards the APC that is beyond performance, is beyond party offices and sharing of power to members of that zone. This last election showed that clearly. Many of the APC members, a lot of the big APC Southeasterners, they didn't play their politics open. They were very coded about their support for their party. Some of them even could have voted against the party in order to carry forth the Southeastern agenda in the Nigerian political equation. And so even if the presidency is zoned to the Southeast, from the kind of opinion and reaction that I'm getting, all they wanted is the big prize. And at this point, a lot of them are saying whether you give us a Senate president or not, that will not change our disposition towards the APC. And so this is why, when I look at it, I see the APC finding the Southeast an attractive and virgin ground to play into. And so this is why, having made a South-South person a deputy Senate president, and that has resulted in growth. So I see a chance that an Akpabio, I see a chance that some South people might come forward and play important in the Senate presidency to the disadvantage of the Southeast.
Quite interesting. Quite interesting, no doubt. The coming days, we'll just wait and see how it plays out. Theo Katuba, thank you very much for coming on.
Let me, just before you go.
Yes.
I know that it's surely going to be a non-Muslim. It's surely going to be someone from the Southeast or South-South, but not the Southwest. But I see it swinging to the South-South finally. Reason because the Southeastern leaders of the party need to do more than they have been doing. They need to be bolder in their representation of their party. They need to make much more inroad and direct conversion of Southeastern. There's no big conversation in the Southeast about the APC. So I think they need to do more.
And I think I agree with you, no doubt at all. And because, I mean, it's just what we see. Anyway, we can't deny that. Thank you very much, Theo, for coming on the program. And thank you for your insights, as always. All right, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Opinions are free. Facts are sacred. But truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.